We're now moving sectors and locations. Our next speakers are the co-founders of a company that grew out of an R&D program to develop virtual samples of fabrics and garments. It started with New Landscapes, a program run by the British Council's architectural, design and fashion teams, and Beyond Regulars, UAL's Fashion, Textiles and Technology Institute. And the aim was to foster new ideas for sustainable fashion and textiles around the world. So, Gabrielle Shiner-Hill and Nusrat Mahmud worked together on New Landscapes, and they founded their company Bureau 555 to take their R&D partnership further. They're now on a mission to make digital tech accessible across the whole fashion supply chain. And to tell us about their work, they're here. Please welcome Gabrielle to the stage.
Hi, everyone. Oh, yeah, it's working. Okay. So I'm here in person. Nusrat's going to join us pre-recorded, but tomorrow she is live on a panel with us, with the UAL team, if you want to hear from her a bit more. Okay, so hi, my name is Gabby, and I am one of the co-founders of Bureau 555. We are a digital agency based between Bangladesh and the UK, and we create virtual fabrics for the fashion supply chain. This is so we can reduce fashion industry's textile waste and the associated carbon emissions during the product development process. If you do not work in fashion and the supply chain, you may not understand how reliant our industry is on sampling garments before they go into production. To give you an idea, one of our case study partners makes 17,000 garment samples per month. This is one very large factory creating garment samples for the brands that feed into the cyclical design process and the product development process. Those samples never reach the shop floor, they never reach a customer. Now, studies have shown that there is a 96% reduction in carbon emissions when virtually sampling compared to physically sampling. So the case has been made. And I'm actually going to start with a bit of a question. So if you've got your phones with you, you can scan this QR code. While you're doing it, I will explain to you what you're doing. So if you want to scan the QR code, what you're doing is you're looking at two pictures of the same fabric. One is a photograph of a physical fabric, and one is a digital simulation of a virtual fabric. So what is the difference? On the surface, not that much, but that is just the surface. A virtual or a digital fabric is not just a one-dimensional image. A virtual fabric is a rich data asset with three main components. You have the textural image, that is the layered set of images that make the visual reality. That's what we sort of physically see with our eyes. But it's also the physics of the physical fabric. That is the data that tells the softwares that that fabric is in, how it moves, how that fabric will react when gravity is applied. And it's also the master data, which holds all the information about the fabric: composition, construction, price, minimum order quantities, key traceability data, all really important. Only with these three elements will you have a true virtual fabric that works for the supply chain. I will tell you the answer at the end, don't worry, but I'm just not telling you now. So we are specialists in 3D fabric digitization. Let me tell you a little bit about ourselves. So we were founded, Bureau 555, we were founded by myself and Nusrat in early 22, and we did grow out of a New Landscapes grant supported by the UAL, Fashion, Textiles and Technology Institute, and the British Council. Now, Nusrat and I have known each other since 2017, and I have known her father since 2009. And I spoke about this over dinner last night, which is part of our partnership as well. It's not like we just came together in 22 to start this company. We have a wealth of knowledge of textiles. We have a combined experience of over 35 years in the supply chain. I am a trained textile designer with a love of technology. And my second job out of uni back in the early 2000s was with a software company that specialized in CAD systems for textile mills. It was my job to train the textile technicians in the southern states of America to digitize their process. It was interesting as a 24-year-old heading into those mills, I can tell you that much. I then worked in product development for 15 years, a job which took me around the world, working with mills and manufacturers. And then I ran a BA fashion course here in London before starting Bureau 555 with Nusrat. Nusrat is the director of Hamid Fabrics in Bangladesh, a textile mill that services some of the world's biggest brands and has a capacity of around 1 million yards of fabric per month. So we both understand the real and the tangible impact that the sampling process is having in our industry. So why Bangladesh? Bangladesh is a key location for digitization. From the top 10 ready-made garment exporters in the world, Bangladesh has seen the highest growth. Its exports hit 11 billion in 2023, and it has a global export market share of nearly 8%. That's second behind China and ahead of Vietnam. It is also home to the 200 plus LEED certified factories, which is the green standard for factories. That is the most factories of a garment producing country in the world. The most LEED factories, to make that clear. So we knew that to work with the supply chain, we had to be in it. We built and trained our skilled team in Dhaka, so all scanning and processing can happen as close to source as possible. We know that women are an integral part of the supply chain, and a study commissioned by the ICT Ministry in Bangladesh did project that 60% of jobs in ready-made garments could be at risk due to automation. The flip side of the potential threat of losing up to 5.5 million jobs through automation in the fourth industrial revolution is that the same technology has the potential to create 10 million new jobs. We must make sure that women are being trained in the workshop on these digital technologies so that they are not left behind. So we developed and trained our team in Dhaka with the help of our first grant from the British Council. To date, we have trained 10 team members, 9 in Bangladesh and 1 in the UK. And now we're going to hear from Nusrat.
Hi, my name is Nusrat Mahmud and I'm co-founder of Bureau 555. We're a digital agency based in Dhaka and London. We started our journey back in 2020 during the pandemic when we realized that there's a massive need for digital fabrics and garments in the supply chain, just to make the PD process easier, shorter, and more accessible by the teams.
So, as Nusrat said, we're making digital fabrics and garments. So if you're making digital fabrics and garments, you have the option to reduce your physical sampling demands. And here you can see some of the impact we've had since we opened our doors in February 22. So as of this month, we have created just over 3,500 virtual fabrics. In the linear physical way of developing that product, we would have created just over 100,000 yards of fabric. And if we use a very conservative carbon calculator, that is equivalent to 1.5 million kgs of CO2, which could be quantified by our brains as the same emissions as driving 10.5 kilometers or 407 times around the world, none of which I'm going to do. So we are a small team with a big impact. And let's not forget, this does not take into account the water, chemical, and human effort that would have gone into making these fabrics and sample garments. So our next steps is to partner with a company to collate the LCA data of a physical garment sample versus a digital garment sample, so we can show the full impact and traceability, which will lead digitization into the legislation and digital product passport conversations that are happening right now in the fashion and textile supply chain. So where are we working and who are we working with? Here you can see companies that we have created virtual fabrics for. So in the UK, Northern Europe, India, Bangladesh, and the East Coast of America. We use 8 specific softwares internally for the virtual creation. Some are specific to the supply chain, and some are more widely seen in gaming and innovation. We've got them up there as DMIX, Vizu, and Bandicoot. And we also have invested in specific hardware for input, scanning and testing, and we have 3 key technology partners. Currently, we have offices in London, Hong Kong, and Dhaka. But we've not stopped there, and we can't stop there, because our biggest hurdle is education and knowledge exchange. Digital transformation within the supply chain, as obvious as it might seem from the last 6 minutes of me talking, is actually not a given. We have to create a talent pool in Bangladesh, training fabric technologists to become digital fabric technologists. Our experience in the industry has shown us how important textile knowledge is, and we need to pass that along to the next generation of digital product developers. Believe me, it is much more difficult to train a graphic designer to understand a textile than it is to design a textile designer to use a piece of digital technology. We know that only by collaborating with industry, academia, and technology can we see real change, and we need to champion outside investment in education. Last year, we were invited by the V&A to showcase our technologies, and we did partner with the Brohoto Art Foundation. That is an art foundation that Nusrat has also co-founded. We brought Bangladeshi heritage craft techniques to life through the use of AR activations. You can see our Tepapultul clay doll up there in the V&A. So we brought traditional pottery techniques by hand, and we had that in an AR activation, so we could combine the physical making of craft and textiles. And through digitization and documentation, we can use the technologies at our fingertips to bring these heritage textiles to a new audience. So what is next for us? We're looking at protection, preservation, and promotion. We are laying the foundations now, the blueprint for digitization and documentation of endangered textiles in Bangladesh, combined with digital accessibility and digital preservation. On the screen, you can see photographs of Banarasi weaving on the left and Manipuri weaving on the right, both regionally specific types of textiles created, being made by communities now in Bangladesh. We are working with the National Crafts Council of Bangladesh and local communities to protect, preserve, and promote these heritage textile skills. Nusrat is just going to make a comment.
The next chapter is digitizing heritage fabrics that are endangered in Bangladesh. Till date, there is no digital archive. There is no digital documentation of these fabrics that have been handed over from one generation to the next over the past 100, 200 years in our West Bengal region. So we feel that it is our duty to be able to work on the preservation of these materials digitally so that the next generations can do their own R&D on them.
So, reaching the end, as I'm out of time, I asked you at the beginning which picture is the photograph and which picture is the virtual fabric. So as you can see, the left is a flat photograph, and the image on the right is the high-quality digital material, which is data-rich and composed of 3 different sections: appearance, physics, and master data. Having run this before, we know that generally people get this about 50% right, but the aim is just to highlight that it is not a flat image. And this data-rich asset containing information that can be historical or traceable and a key part of your impact assessment. So, thank you for having me today. And if you have any questions, please do come and find me over the next 2 days. And Nusrat and myself will be speaking live on a panel tomorrow with the UAL team. Thank you.